What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about yet another Resident Evil leak. This time that Resident Evil 4 has indeed been in the works and is releasing in 2022. Now, I feel like literally every single day there is some sort of Resident Evil leak. We've covered a lot of it here. We've covered a lot of it on Podcast Now. To be quite honest with you guys, I don't know which channel I've covered it on, for each one because, again, we've gotten so much information about this franchise. It's great. It honestly is really, really great that there's this amount of info that constantly comes out. But let's talk about, again, like we always do in all these videos, let's talk about what we've learned, and then let's do a little analysis of it. I know on Podcast Now I talked about, will Resident Evil 4 be remade, and I kind of went over the pros and cons to that. Definitely check that video out if you guys have not. But this is back to Aesthetic Gamer. It's just kind of a carousel of leakers at this point. The Resident Evil 4's remake is being developed by M2 Studio. According to the Insider, Resident Evil 4 remake has been in the works since 2018, so it's been in the works for a long time. So I've been in the oven for around 4 years when it finally launches in 2022. M2 was set up specifically to remake the project, which features a larger team than both RE2 and RE3, their remake. So again, it was set up specifically for that. That's pretty darn big. Unlike Resident Evil 3, M2 is the lead developer on this game, whereas on the previous project, they were helping out Redworks. The project does have Shinji Mikami's full approval. His help here is limited because he's obligated to Ghostwire right now, but part of how this project even came about was through his decision and talking to Capcom. Elsewhere, he suggested that gamers let Capcom know if they want Resident Evil Code Veronica remake, insisting they do listen to feedback more than some might think. Most of us are probably expecting this to happen instead of Resident Evil 4 at this point, and I'm slightly baffled, so it goes on to say that. Then also goes to what we also previously had talked about again on one of these channels. Capcom is readying RE8 for release on whatever consoles in 2021, and is set to be a massive departure from the long-running franchise. So yes, again, to catch everybody up, so here's I believe what it end up was going to be 2020. Now actually this does throw a little bit of the stuff that's been going on out of whack, so I do want to discuss that as well. So let's go back a long time ago. Originally, well, we know Capcom wants to do a Resident Evil game every single year, okay? So 2021 was going to be something. Nobody really knew what it was going to be. 2022 is what a lot of people, including, I believe, Aesthetic Gamer, had said. 2022 was Resident Evil 8. It was going to be Resident Evil 8. It had gone through multiple, reboots, right? They couldn't get it off the ground. They were having some problems with it. But that was going to be the mainline installment, Resident Evil 8. Then we found out that next year's game, a lot of people thought, well, maybe that is the Code Veronica game. Or maybe it's Revelations 3, which is what I thought. And then we kind of found out that no, actually, it was Revelations 3. So those people predicting it were right. It was Revelations 3, but they want it to be a mainline entry. So they're going to inject Resident Evil 8 things, including Ethan, including Chris Redfield, all that kind of stuff. They're going to inject it into this game. And then this game would be RE8, which means to me that game that was struggling to get off the ground, all that stuff, would that be Resident Evil 9? And would that game be 2022? And that was kind of my line of thinking. Well, now, 2021, again, is that Revelations 3 RE8, mixture kind of game. And now, 2022 would be Resident Evil 4's remake. So again, the years, the pictures like that are all starting to make sense. It does make sense. We talked about it again on Podcast Now. I get it. I get the desire to make a Resident Evil 4's remake. I've seen a lot of things on the internet going back and forth with basically, is it a good idea? Is this something that we should actually do? Is it worth it? Has it been long enough? Things like that. And people are getting mad. People are getting very mad. People are getting very happy. To a lot of people, it's their favorite Resident Evil game. To a lot of people, also, again, they say, well, you know what? It's perfect how it is. And there is just a lot of back and forth. So what's going to be interesting is this really will be that first one that they're going to be stepping into that territory where it's like, do you remake these kind of games? Has it been long enough? We've gotten a lot of remasters. We've gotten a lot of remakes. And with a lot of them, I think with the remake part. But the games that are being remade, I think a lot of them make a lot of sense, and there's really no criticism to, well, why'd you pick that one, or why is it that, or has it been long enough? I don't really feel like that's really come up, and I'm not just talking about Resident Evil. I'm talking Crash, Spyro. Really, I mean, there's so many games. Final Fantasy VII, right? There's been so many games that have been remade over the past, let's say, like 3-4 years. It's been insane. It's also been really good. But I think Resident Evil 4 is going to be that first one where people are going to say, is it actually time? Do we really, really need this? And it's going to be really interesting to see how people kind of react to it. Resident Evil 4 is a phenomenal game. It's the game that I started playing to get into Resident Evil, and it's a game that I would replay. I would support a remake. I think a ton of people would support the remake. I just think people are going to be a lot more cautious and a lot more wary that, like, is this really the route to go? But again, they seem to know what they're doing. They seem to have that plan in place. The biggest thing to me is, again, not necessarily the idea that Resident Evil 4 is getting remade. Like, again, it was either it was or it wasn't, and I could see both sides to it, so it wasn't going to surprise me all that much either way. But what does surprise me is, again, I feel like because of all these leaks, there's really 3 games that have always been talked about. There was the game next year that was going to be Revelations 3. There was the game the following year that was going to be the actual main installment, Resident Evil 8. And then, and there was whatever. I mean, you could also insert remakes. You could say, well, would they go to Resident Evil 4? I guess they could do, the Code Veronica thing. They have lots of other things they could do Resident Evil related as well. But you have all of those options. And now, again, so next year is technically Revelations 3, but it is RE8. So it's going to be titled Resident Evil 8. Remember, I think the leak was Village, Resident Evil Village. So you got that. Then the following year is Resident Evil 4. But what happened to that game that was struggling to get off the ground that was Resident Evil 8 that was supposed to be 2022? Where's that game? Did that game, like, suddenly everybody figured it out and that game is next year's game? Or are they pushing that off, and that is actually, again, like, I think going to be Resident Evil 9, and that'll be in 2023 now instead of 2022. It's really interesting when you have this many games in a franchise like Capcom has. You do have options. It can also, honestly, get really messy. They've proven they know what they're doing. They're doing well. Everything's going well over there. It looks like, right, from the outside looking in, everything seems to be going as well as it could be for Resident Evil, and I just really hope that they can maintain it. I don't really want them to kind of drop the ball, and they could. It definitely could happen, and honestly, Resident Evil 4 is one of the first steps, because, again, I don't think anybody would doubt that it would be good, but the question is, like, did you have to do it? Did you actually make it worse when you remade it? Stuff like that. Those kind of questions I feel like are going to be the ones asked. So, guys, let me know in the comments below. Are you excited for Resident Evil 4 Remake? Would you get it? Do you think it's too early to remake a game like that? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you guys subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hit that bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. And I do a new video on this channel every single day, so you can always expect a new video the next day, okay? Thank you again so much for watching, guys. I truly appreciate it. I hope to see you all on the next video.